Hi everybody. It's the 25th of January 2026 and it's another sad day here in the United States. Yesterday saw another utterly senseless murder in the streets of Minnesota. ICE agents took the life of Alex Preddy. It's devastating to anyone whose heart is open. There is a small glimmer of good news today in that a district court judge has ruled a restraining order against DHS for a limited time so that they don't interfere with the collection of evidence for an investigation of this murder. If you're watching this video, I know your heart is open. And so you're likely grieving, as am I. My guide suggested that I come on and share this video with you today to try to put these events into a historical context that will help us all to stay in harmony with God's love, keep uplifted, keep our hearts and souls open to the flow of the source of all life, which is God. And His love, always present, ever flowing, can only be stopped by we ourselves, and we don't want to do that. The biggest thing we have to offer ourselves, God, and everyone else on this planet is our love and our devotion to one another and to God, to what is right and good. And sometimes that takes significant effort. So I'm here to help. Globally, what is occurring with all of this human conflict are the death throes of the patriarchy, also known as sexism, the death throes of racism and othering of one another, and the last gasping, dying breath of colonization. These three aspects of the human condition are the three biggest scourges, blights on the face of this beautiful planet. They are the three deadliest, ugliest sins of humanity. And of course, they encompass the sins of selfishness and greed. These systems need to fall. These systems were always going to fall because they are out of harmony with the true laws, the immutable laws of all creation, the laws of God. All of these laws of God that are unchangeable and unchanging are based on love. They are based on life. Life for all, not just a few. And abundant life for all. These true laws, these unchanging laws, are all sustainable. And humanity needs to come into harmony with sustainability across every sector of our free will choice. So we're experiencing a lot of chaos right now because we are all ultimately subject to the perfect laws of God. And they ensure that what is not harmonious, what is not loving, what is not sustainable will fall. So here we are. And that is good news in what's happening now. The chaos is creating harmony. Now, I want to be very clear here because it's important we learn the truth of these laws so that we can come into harmony with them on our own individual free choice levels. And so what I want to say here is we did not have to be going through this ridiculous chaos right now. That was not a requirement. That was a choice. Too many people rejected the option that was offered that would have shifted everything that needs to shift, but in a more gentle, gradual, harmonious, and loving way. And for us here in the United States, I'm going to come right out and say, we had a better choice in the candidate for president and vice president with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Those two souls are way more in harmony with God's laws than who we have in the White House right now. But I am going to say their actions are evil. Their actions are evil. Their souls are out of harmony with love. Their souls are out of harmony with the laws of God. Now, I have compassion for them, and God has mercy for them, and they are just as worthy and just as loved by God as are we, the rest of us, anyone else. Okay, and that's a fact. That's a truth. But their actions are not harmonious. And I want to be clear, because you know what, people? Our choices have consequences. Be advised. Okay, so that's kind of the backstory of what I want to talk about today. Now for a little bit of guidance from the angels to try to help us cope. I want to put this in a historical context. As sad as it is, the truth is humanity has been out of harmony since a man and a man first turned their backs on God. The entire Old Testament of the Bible is filled with nothing but murder and rape and marauding and all kinds of pillaging and wars and ugliness, jealousy. Cain killed Abel, right? 250 years ago, children were getting run over by the stagecoach. 150 years ago, children were being poisoned by their own mothers feeding them milk that had chalk in it or arsenic or something. Not on purpose, obviously, but just some greedy monger who was selling the milk was trying to stretch it to make a bigger dollar, right? The point is, evil has always been with us. Hardship has always been with us. We need to focus on what we personally can control, the things over which we personally have dominion and free will choice. So I just want to let you know that every single soul watching this video right now was consciously aware of the trajectory of humanity at the time you came in. And this has always been true for every age. We do have an inkling before we come into our earth lives what awaits us. You and I, we came in for this time. We came in for this time because we believed we were ready for it and we could help raise the consciousness of this planet. And that's what we're doing. And just for very recent history, in the 1950s here in the United States of America and probably much of the Western world, we were experiencing a very bizarre time in history. It was post-World War II. There was a boom, an economic boom, and a lot of inventions came out that made housekeeping and day-to-day living so much easier. And it shifted everybody's lives to a point where there was an opportunity for greater leisure time and so forth. But not everybody got to ride that beautiful wave. So, for example, here in the United States of America, Black American citizens were never treated with the respect and the equality that our Constitution promised. They weren't even seen as human all throughout the course of history. They were stolen from their own homes over in Africa and brought into slavery. The Black Americans literally built this country. They built it. They own it. It's theirs. It's theirs more than anybody except the Native Americans, who were just about completely annihilated through European colonization of the United States. And during that time, there was a big generation gap, too, between adults and children. Adults could do whatever they wanted, and most of them smoke and drank every day and beat their kids. And I don't know about most of them, but a lot of them. It was very common, okay? Beat their wives, whatever. It was just accepted. So ugly, right? Ugly was normalized. Children were to be seen and not heard. Well, what happened in the 60s? That got shaken up because it needed to. The youth came into their own power. The youth called BS on the hypocrisy of the adults at the time. And in their protesting of the Vietnam War, because they were the ones being sent to die and have their limbs blown off, they were finally pushing back. That cracked open the society for the changes that we're experiencing now. That was a big shift, an important shift, and a valuable shift. And that shifting continued through the 60s and 70s. The 80s saw kind of a backlash. A lot of those people were coming into their own family-making periods, getting married, having children, and so forth, and they became very materialistic. So those who called out the hypocrites became the hypocrites. And then we had junk bonds, and it was a mess. Well, since that point in time, there has been an organized, intentional, focused movement in the Republican Party here in the United States to roll back the clock. Because remember, that period of shakeup that I just mentioned, from the 50s through the 80s, that brought us desegregation of schools. It brought us women leaving the home and going into the workforce, and so gaining a measure of financial independence and equality. And in the 80s, with the advent of the unfortunate epidemic of AIDS, the gay community came out of the closet en masse because they were dying. And I don't want to say that AIDS is connected to homosexuality, because it's not. It's a sexually transmitted disease, period. But the gay community was initially hit very hard, especially here in the United States. And what that brought forth from us was something actually really good, which was compassion, because we were losing our brothers. We were losing our brothers, and we love our brothers, and we cared. And so we looked around and we realized, oh my goodness. But the Republican Party didn't like any of this. They wanted the blacks back in the fields, the women pregnant and back in the kitchen, and the gays back in the closet. And that's what they still want today. And they're working really, really hard to make that happen. Well, guess what, folks? It ain't gonna work. There is no going back. Life moves forward. We're all moving forward. We have made tremendous strides. And with the advent of the internet, we can see everything now. So it used to be that these racist, sexist, homophobic people were in their sheep's clothing and we couldn't see them. Well, they're very visible now. Yeah. So they're being unmasked. But what else is occurring is people are waking up. They're waking up to the fact that people are people. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. It doesn't matter what your genitalia looks like. It doesn't matter who you love. At the soul level, we are all children of God. And most people have awakened to this truth. Most people. There's a big noisy faction, though, that's really fighting it, and that's the cornered, wounded animal lashing out with their last dying breath. And unfortunately, it's really sad for me to say, but I feel like we need to realize it seems like it's about a third of the population. It's not half, okay? That's the good news. But the bad news, it's a whole heck of a lot more than any of us realized. I think, we all thought maybe 10%, maximum 20%. No. We're looking at like a third of the population here in the United States is afraid of the other. And that's what I want to point out now too. That's very important for us. We here in this space. Remember, authoritarianism and evil require an enemy. They absolutely require an enemy. And that's why Jesus taught us to love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Love your enemies, not fight your enemies. Turn the other cheek if you must. I don't mean you should stand there and be abused. If you can walk away, walk away. If you can avoid, avoid. But I would rather stand firmly in the truth than fight. I'm not going to fight. I would rather be killed than kill. But I will stand firmly in the truth. And I invite you to do the same. I was very unhappy when Kamala Harris's campaign came up with, when we fight, we win. No, when we fight, everybody loses. Ooh, that was so bad. But anyway, water under the bridge, whatever. Too late for that one. But we don't need to fight, people. We need to love one another. We need to pray for one another. We need to stand for truth. We need to speak for truth. Because love is love. But guess what? Hate is hate too. And we need to not do it. And this is a spiritual discipline that we are being called to uphold. We who are awake. It's okay to hate the sin. Just don't hate the sinner. Have compassion for these murderers, these monsters, temporary monsters. They clearly are out of touch with the love of God. And if they had the love of God, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. So we can have compassion for them because they lack what we have. So where do we go from here? Obviously, keep praying. Keep sharing as much love as we can. Keep staying in harmony, staying in peace so that we can be harmony and be peace as we walk about the world. Love one another. And I want to encourage all of us to take a page out of the Black American playbook. These people were dragged here 450 years ago and put into slavery. The people who are here now are descended from those people, the Black Americans who are descended from those people. They know how to survive. And the reason why we have to say Black Lives Matter instead of All Lives Matter is because if you're white, yes, life may be hard for you. If you're white, life will never be hard for you because you're white. Why do we not put blackface on? Because they can't take blackface off. And why does any of that matter? Because when they leave their homes, depending on where they go and what they do, they're literally taking their lives into their own hands. Because there are still, today, in 2026, people who will kill them because of the color of their skin. If you're white, you don't have that. You've never had it. And that's white privilege. So yes, it's real. It exists. But my point, sorry for that rabbit hole, they know how to survive. Keep their heads down when they have to. I hope they're not out in the streets right now. It needs to be white faces that are out in the streets right now, standing for what is right, especially white men, because they can stand for women and they can stand for all people of color. So if you're a white man, search your heart, man, because you and the brothers like you, you're the ones to turn this tide. Women can't turn the tide of the patriarchy. Women can't turn the tide of sexism. And blacks, other people of color, indigenous people cannot turn the tide of racism. There is a debt being called due right now. And no, you aren't personally responsible because you didn't create this mess. Just the opposite. You came in as a white male to help fix it. You did. So what do Black Americans do? They live their lives. They live their lives. They revel in every free will choice that they still get to make moment by moment, day by day. They laugh, they love, they gather in families, in communities. They share, they bond, they rejoice, and they worship the God of salvation, the God of righteousness, the God of justice, the God of love, and the God of peace, because by God, they literally know in their souls that God's love is real and that God's love is for them. And you know how I know they know it? Because that's how they survived. That's how they're here. That's how they got through all the garbage they've gone through for the last 450 years and how they're still managing today while a bunch of crazy little white women like myself are finally waking up. So have faith, keep your eyes on the prize. And what is the prize? Divine love, right? That's what it is. Let's open our souls right this moment and be so grateful for all the blessings God has bestowed upon us. Let us invite the divine love that is the very essence of God to fill our souls right this moment, right here, right now. And let's do that every day, as many times a day as we can. Pray for God to give you the peace and the strength and the wisdom and the compassion to stay uplifted in these times, because we came in for this. And God's got all of us in the palm of his loving embrace, in his hands. All right, that's it for today. If you have any questions, or if you have an encouraging word, anything at all, please put it in the comments. Please hit the thumbs up. Give it a like, share this video, or maybe make a clip of it. YouTube can allows you to make little short clips. Maybe just share a clip anything. I would appreciate anything that you can do to help this channel grow so that more people can come into the fold of God's love. All right. Take good care. Be safe. Be well. And remember, you are deeply, truly loved. God bless.